get to bronze.
Welcome to LongShotsTV. It's Friday night, and it's that time again. And boy, we got a special show for you tonight. Along with us is special guest Rich Perez, and he's a former baseball player. Rich is also a longtime radio host. He's the voice of the Harlem Globetrotters, and he's currently out of Las Vegas in sports radio. Welcome in, Rich. Glad to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. Been a long-time fan, and I think you do a great job.
Oh, I really appreciate that, sir. We wanted to talk tonight a little bit about legalizing sports betting and some of the issues surrounding that and what's going on, just as a general discussion. So, guys, jump on the chat and put your questions and comments in there. I'm sure everyone has an opinion about this subject. Of course, most of our guys are sports bettors that watch this show, so we can understand that the opinions are going to be swayed somewhat slightly. But before we jump into that, let's just run down some scores in baseball tonight. Right now, 7:05, Helix and Williams, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Phillies on top of Pitt, 3-2, top of the seventh, which is surprising. Pittsburgh is just taking a little nosedive, haven't they, Rich?
Yeah, this team, you've got Garrett Cole, and you would think that they could get it together. Clint Hurdle's a good friend of mine, and I would think that he's going to get that team to turn around. He doesn't tolerate too much baloney, so I think they'll bounce back.
Yeah, I think so too. They're headed in the right direction overall. But next we got Washington and Atlanta, and Atlanta's been playing some decent baseball last couple of games. Right now, Gonzalez is up on Dickey 4-3 in the top of the fifth. Washington, hey, Rich, this is one of those teams that, again, people thought were going to come out just cruising this year. What happened to them?
Another situation, pitching will take you as far as it's going to take you, and you got to have that combination of pitching and hitting. They've got great hitters there in Washington, and again, the pitching, I think, like the Cubs, you got to have the pitching. So if that comes through, they're going to bounce back. They certainly have the hitters.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's jump down to Colorado, Cincinnati real quick. This looked like it was going to be a barn burner, and it kind of is. We are in the top of the sixth. Anderson on top of Bonilla, and it is 7-1 Colorado right now. Boy, Colorado is really smashing the ball, aren't they, Rich?
Oh, yeah. Coors Field, I'm going to be there next weekend. I'm looking forward to going out there, and they're a solid team. Bud Black has really got them motivated, knowing that they can win, not worried about the Mile High situation. And look, pitching has got to take them into the postseason. They did it once. I'm sure they can do it again. But this particular team is really loaded. Charlie Blackmon, really, really an excellent player. Carlos Gonzalez. So they've got some good players, good core. A lot of people expected them to be in the cellar with the Padres, but that's not the case. These guys are young, strong, coming on, and I think it's a win-win for the state of Colorado.
Yeah, it's a kind of similar as to the Yankees this year. They're playing Tampa Bay tonight. They're up bottom of the sixth, 2-1 over Tampa Bay. Severino's pitching tonight, and I was really surprised by the Yankees. Young team, and they're really smashing the ball as well, Rich. I mean, looks like they could be a contender, at least make it into the playoffs this year. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I like the Yankees. They were my pick at the beginning of the year. I really think they're going to keep it going, and I think they're going to be strong. They got Chapman coming out of the bullpen. Betances setting it up. So I think this is a win-win situation. Yankees may be back this year. I wouldn't doubt it. They're strong. It's a strong team. Hernandez stepped right in and is doing a great job behind the player. Sanchez, doing a great job back there. So I think the Yankees are the only thing stopping them is the Yankees themselves.
Yeah,
it's a good team.
Do you think they'll have the pitching to go the distance?
That's the wild card because you hope Sabathia can hold up and some of those key pitchers that they have, but I think that Joe Girardi's going to get it together. Always great to have a catcher as your manager. I think it helps the pitchers as well. So I think it's going to be great. Great time in New York.
Understand the game just a little bit from the pitcher's perspective, I would imagine. Right. Texas at Detroit, Martinez and Norris. Texas is up on Detroit 5-1. I was actually thinking that Detroit might actually take this game, but it's not looking like that. They're in the bottom of the sixth, nobody out, and a runner on second base. What's up with Texas this year?
This is a good team. I think they're going to bounce back and come strong. They're only a game and a half out, them and the Angels. But Astros, they're flying right now, so it's awfully hard to beat them. And I keep thinking of the Astros. I keep thinking of the National League, and I still haven't got used to the fact that they're in the American League with Texas, the Angels, etc. But I think they're going to be fine. The Rangers always seem to bounce back. Again, the heat in Texas gets them August, September, those dog days of summer. You've been there. I've been there. It's humid. It's hot. It's like a blow dryer hitting you. That's where they wear down. So we'll see if they can keep it up.
Well, it's going to be fun to find out as we get to the dog days of summer. Cleveland at Houston, we need to talk about this one. It's a 2-2 game, top of the fourth. Bauer against Morton. And, here's another one. Cleveland, everybody thought they were going to come out and just cruise through the season. Houston, obviously top team, and some people had them picked as the top two. But they're both having their struggles at times, and again, it's with pitching.
Yeah, without a doubt. Cleveland, here's the advantage they have. Kluber leading that group of pitchers. This is a solid pitching staff. I really believe Cleveland, when push comes to shove, is going to be Cleveland, New York in the final here for the American League Championship. Cleveland, I'm not counting them at all. This is a solid team, a great bunch, good hitters. Lindor leading that. This is a solid team, Tony. I really like the Indians, and I think it's a little too early to panic with them, right? Because those guys will get it together. This is a solid team.
So, out of the American League, who do you think are the top two teams at the end of the season?
Yankees, Indians.
Okay, and then how about National League?
National League, now it gets a little tricky. Boy, I know I just talked about the Astros in the American League. They're probably the third team in that mix. But in the National League, I have to think the Cubs are going to come back. I have to think that. I'm a huge Dodger fan. If anyone watches the show, they know I like the Dodgers. Oh, yeah. But I also played for the Giants, and so I have a little piece of me that pulls for the Giants as well. And I don't know. The Rockies are looking good. Can they sustain it? I don't know. I don't think you've heard the last of the Marlins in the National League. They're dead last right now. But I think Fernandez, that death to Fernandez has really affected them. Yeah. And they don't have the arm to replace him. So that's going to hurt them. Boy, I have to say the Cubs, and I would think that Washington will get it together eventually. Okay. So I'm going to go with those two.
All right, even going over the Dodgers. I kind of had the Dodgers up there this year.
I did, but the wild card is Rich Hill. He keeps having this blister problem. I mean, he's great when he's pitching, but he keeps blowing that finger open, and that's a problem. So, you can't win with just Kershaw and Jansen. We saw that last year. These guys are worn out. I mean, you keep going. How long can you keep throwing those two?
That's true.
You got to have some more pitching. Ryu's got to come around. The kid Urias he's still young. He's learning. I think he's going to be all right. He looks pretty solid at times. Maeda, I haven't bought into Maeda yet, so we'll see.
Yeah, there's a few pitchers out there that have not impressed me this year. That I think we were talking about it earlier. Somebody that started off had a good year last year. Who were we talking about? I don't even remember now, but a couple of the guys that had a good year last year and just are mediocre.
Arleta, yeah.
Arleta, that's right. So that's one of those cases. But again, like you said, it's early in the season. There's plenty of time to turn this around. Key is to keep everybody healthy and they can move forward.
Right.
So, all right. Well, let's go jump into some of this issue that is plaguing the nation and the world at this point. Well, not so much the world, but the nation, and that's legalizing sports betting. So, guys, jump in anytime on the chats if you have questions. There's one comment up already. Trump has followed through on his promise so far. Did he promise anything about gambling deregulation? Rich, do you have any information or have you heard anything about gambling deregulation?
I have not really. I'll give you the Nevada angle, which is always, hey, keep it here in Nevada. And, they always want to keep everything here in Nevada. So it's like I had said, I don't think that the casinos are against that or people with these gambling licenses. I think, but they want the revenue to come here. So they're working on websites to try to make it happen out of Vegas.
Yeah, that was some of the thought that I had before. Is I'm sure that they, because it's been brought up that the casinos have been losing money due to various other things going on, and not so many people putting their dollars down in the casino. So obviously they've had to find another way to generate revenue in the wake of social media, for one.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
go ahead,
Tony. They're doing everything here to squeeze people. Parking. You remember parking was just liberal. You got to pay now to park. So it's there's nothing free anymore here in Vegas.
Yeah, you used to be able to get the free shrimp buffet and cocktails and all that, but they are charging more and more. But people still go, so it's just not as much revenue as they want. But one of the biggest questions, Rich, that's asked all the time is sports betting illegal? And we did some research on this and come across a couple of the betting law sites. And gambling is not illegal. Sports betting is not illegal in the United States. The PAPSA law is aimed at the sports in general and having, again, prohibits people from gambling on sports, which is no law. We'll talk about that later. But the Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act does not make any sport illegal. What it does is it prevents certain financial institutions from processing deposits and withdrawals. And guys, that's why you have so much trouble trying to make a deposit with your credit card into a poker site, because this applies to poker as well, or one of the sports books online, and getting your money out. It's not always the sports books issue with that, because a lot of people think they're just slow with that. There's just regulation on it, and they have to be very careful with those transactions because they don't want to break a law that gets them into trouble. But it happens. So somebody commented, nice background jersey, Rich. Hello.
Thanks. Yeah. I got a nice little collection here, but just a few things we've picked up over the years.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you've got quite the collection, Rich.
Yeah, I've been fortunate in that manner. I mean, really, I've met a lot of great players and great athletes, and I've been very lucky, and I know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you just tell the audience a little bit about your background and history?
Well, I mean, I'll have you here for a while, but it's I've been doing CBS now for 3.5 years, and prior to that, I was with an independent here in Vegas, KLAV, which I had been on for many years. But I was with Fox. I did a daily show here with Fox Sports here in Vegas. I've been on the NFL Network. A lot of people may have seen me on the NFL Network. I when they're showing a highlight or something and they want to talk about it, the top 10 type thing. I've been on many of those for the NFL. So I've been the Globetrotters announcer. I did the Oakland Raiders post-game show for the state of Hawaii, where it transmitted back to Hawaii. I've done the University of Hawaii football. Of course, my daughter was a top gymnast here at Oregon State and Arizona State. And, I'm the father of a Marine that passed away in Iraq, and I think a lot of people know that too. And, I lost him in 2005, Richard Perez Jr. So it's been a long road in the sportscasting. I got in the Hall of Fame here in Nevada.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. 2 years ago. And I didn't start to go in a Hall of Fame. It just, it was like an added bonus. Guy called me and I said, "You got the right guy." I just didn't feel like I did anything substantial. And I still think I'm young enough that I haven't really made an impact. I think I've made an impact on the background. I know everybody from Jim Nance to everybody. I mean, Tony, you yourself. And so I've met a lot of good people. And I think just keeping a level head and trying to be straight with everybody is the key. I'm an ex-baseball player. That's where this all started. I grew up with Darryl Strawberry, Eric Davis, Brett Saberhagen, all those guys in LA. We all played Little League ball together and high school ball. And, those guys had great careers. And I was one of those guys at one time, a can't miss prospect. And somehow I missed and I hurt my shoulder. And that was that. So Yankees, Royals, Astros, Reds, had a cup of coffee with the Twins here in their LA Instructional League with Jimmy Del Monte, their super scout. And so I've been around. I was all over Florida playing ball and a lot of minor league ball. And it's just been a long road, Tony. It really has. I've been married to the same woman 32 years this year.
Fantastic.
Thanks. But we've had 4 great kids, being Richard and Risa, kind of the forefront of those 4. But it's been good. My dad was Carl Pepe Perez, who a lot of people know for boxing. He was a great boxer in the 50s, and he's passed away since. But that's how I got involved in boxing with Don King and everybody. So I also did the Friday night fights with the Colonel, Bob Sheridan. It's just been a long road. A lot of different things, Tony, really.
Yeah, you've done a lot of great things. And, that kind of a history would be make people like me very envious. So,
But, I just keep going and I keep trying. 17 Pro Bowls, 10 Super Bowls. I mean, I got to the point where I just got tired of going. I really did. And,
oh, my goodness.
Well, yeah, I just started realizing, I'm telling you the truth. It's good to go to one of these things, maybe 2. But after that, it becomes, especially in the media, it becomes a job instead of a fun thing.
Right.
And I think that's what happened with me. I just felt like it was more of a job and that I wasn't having fun going to the games anymore. I was actually having more fun watching with my wife at home and then going. So that's what I've been doing now. And I really have a much more enjoyable time than hanging out with a bunch of media at these events. So I think there's 2 ways to look at it. And some people want to go to every one of them. My partner, Wayne Lavelle, he's been to 35, 40 Super Bowls. Loves it. He lives for it. But that's just not my thing. Right. I want to go. I meet a lot of great people when I go. You meet a lot of players. You meet a lot of. So yeah, I may dip in every once in a while, but it's not something I want to do every year.
Well, I'm glad to still have you on radio, at least on Saturdays out there in Las Vegas. It's always good to hear your voice. So.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, let's get back to this gambling legislation. And I was just getting ready to bring up an article, and a question was asked on this very topic. And from the nation's capital to the global capital of gambling advocates the legalization of sports betting, celebrated the NFL's decision allow the Oakland Raiders to relocate to Vegas. And the question was just asked, what are Rich's thoughts on the Raiders coming to Vegas?
You know what? I couldn't be happier. And look, I feel bad for the people in Oakland. But here's the thing, Tony. You know this as well as anybody. And anybody who's been out west, Oakland is not that far from here.
True.
It really is not. LA is not that far. All these communities can drive to a game right here. So you're solving two problems. People in LA were all going to Oakland. People in Vegas were all going to Oakland to the games. So they're all flying to these games, driving to the games. This is all within reach. This is not like the Raiders moved to Canada. I mean, this is a 5-hour drive from Oakland, a 3-hour drive from LA.
Right.
Not that far. So I think it's a win. And I think most Raider fans will tell you, Tony, it doesn't matter if they're playing Oakland. They're happy they're getting a new stadium, and they're happy that they're coming to Vegas. This is a great place. It's like I told you earlier, Disneyland for adults. And people love it here.
It's truly the greatest place on earth.
Yeah.
I mean, just my thoughts. I can sympathize with the Oakland Raiders fans. I'm based out of Detroit now, and I've been a diehard Cleveland Browns fan since day one. And I will always be a Cleveland Browns fan, no matter what happens or where I go. So, Raiders fans are going to be Raiders fans. They may even pick up a few more Raiders fans by being in Vegas. So it's good for the franchise. I think it's definitely good for the city. There is some oppositional, points to the whole process and what's going on there. But that actually, has helped, I think, the legislation and the lawyers to actually have a foothold into gaining some ground on the whole subject.
I think it's a win-win, Tony. I really do. I can't see a downfall here. The city's growing. I mean, some people think we're a suburb of LA, so, it's grown. I've been here since '89. I moved here to raise my kids.
Right.
It was the best thing I ever did was leave the big city. And, I came to LA came to Vegas from LA. And, it's been a total transformation. The city, I've watched it become a city, and it's great. I saw my parents, they saw LA become a city when the Dodgers moved there and the Rams and all that stuff. And now it's happening to me here in Vegas. And really, it's been great. You got a lot of great people from back east that have moved here, a lot of great people from California that moved here, Texas, all over the place. It's a huge melting pot. I think it's going to be great. Yeah, it's great. We got the hockey team coming, the Golden Knights, starting this October. That's a windfall. I think the NBA is going to follow suit if they do well here, and they're going to jump in very quickly. I think Major League Baseball would be the last one to come in. It's a long season. It's a lot of games. You got to have a lot of people to fill a stadium. Football is pretty safe. 10 games, counting the preseason, and you can sell out 10 games. So I think that's what we're looking at here.
So what's the downside that you see to any of this?
I think the downside is, okay, I'm a traditionalist. I hate to see the few fans that are upset. Honestly, when I tell you it's a few in Oakland that they're coming here. I've been through the Raiders moves. Well, how many now? 3? They went to LA, they went back to Oakland. Now they're coming to Vegas. So, it doesn't change the way I feel. I grew up a Raider fan. I try to be very impartial when I'm on the air. But I've met a lot of great players, and Kenny Stabler all the way through Rich Gannon and a lot of the guys that are playing today. So I don't know. I think that the downfall is probably the community of Oakland. You hate to see that happen, but I think they're going to be fine. I'm not putting down the city of Oakland by any means. I think Marshawn Lynch is a great representative of that team leaving because he's a local kid who grew up and did very well, and I think he's a fine representative of that community, and I think it's a good ending for them. I don't think Marshawn will play here. I think he's going to leave it in Oakland, that legacy, and I think that's good. I think he's doing the right thing for A, himself, B, for the community, C, for the Raiders. I think it's a win-win the way they're leaving and the way they're coming in.
Okay, so now the question is he going to be able to contribute to the team?
Yes. Latavius Murray is gone. Richard is going to be in the backfield as well with Lynch. I think he's going to be fine. He was a little banged up there in Seattle.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have some good runs. He's not the kind of guy he's not an Adrian Peterson that can break one at every time. Marshawn kind of, he's going to pound the line, and then he's going to break through, and he's going to knock a guy over, and the crowd gets crazy. Oh, I love it. So, I think that's the Marshawn Lynch they want to see, the guy that pounds somebody. Otherwise they would have signed Adrian Peterson, and I thought they were going to do that, but they didn't, and of course he went to New Orleans, but I still think he's got some stuff left in the tank, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt anymore. That's the trick with all this, Tony, is hopefully nobody gets hurt. I mean, look what happened to Derek Carr once he broke his leg. That was it. So I'm hoping that these guys all stay healthy.
Yeah, that's been an issue in Major League Sports, obviously football. I mean, these guys take a pounding and just keep on going.
Yeah.
So, kudos to them for, having that kind of physical, discipline and stamina with, through the training and to be able to play at that level. If you guys have never been to an NFL football game or a hockey game for that matter and actually seen them on the field do the things that they do, you don't have any idea what kind of discipline it takes to be an athlete of that caliber. So, it's incredible. But one last thought on the gambling issue is that it's been brought up that this could contribute to a large-scale problem with gambling addiction. Rich, what are your thoughts on that?
I would say it's very possible. Sure. There's a lot of people that move to Vegas and they're here 6 months and they're gone. They get in the wrong. Look, you're not going to make $1 million on a slot machine, folks. It's just the reality is, it's for fun. And if you pick up $80 or $300, take it. But the problem is, I guess in sports you could overdo it. You have to know. Here's the thing, Tony. You know this as well as anybody. People have to have discipline, and you can only gamble what you can afford to lose. All right, and a lot of people don't realize that, and they'll put their whole check on a game.
Yeah.
And that's terrible. I mean, you work 2 weeks for to pay your bills and buy some food.
That creates another issue, which they're alluding to, is that then that makes crime rise because now they're going to go steal money because they got to feed their addiction. Drug use is going to go up because some of the druggies, lost money on a game and they don't have it for their drugs.
Right.
Things like that. Me personally, I think that just to throw this thought out there, Rich, that people with addiction personality disorder are going to have an addiction no matter whether sports gambling is illegal or not illegal. That's my take on it. What do you think?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's good. It's self-discipline, Tony, and you hope that everybody's raised in a manner where they have control, and I could see how I've seen it happen to people on all ends: alcohol, gambling, drugs. I think we all know somebody who's done it, and I just had a cousin I lost Thursday to alcoholism at 42, and a young lady just binge drinking on the weekend and killed her kidney, and that was it. And so, I just think about all these things, and Tony, I think it's life is not easy. Our life is not easy. You can do whatever you want, but you also have to have discipline. And if you don't have discipline, I mean, you can go out right now, Tony, spend your whole check in the mall.
Yep.
Okay, but what does that do for you tomorrow? It doesn't do anything. So it gives you nice clothes for 2 weeks, but you might be hungry. So, there's ramifications with everything we do. I know guys who are married who run around every weekend. They got to go somewhere, out with their buddies. How long is the marriage going to last? Not very long. So, it's all about discipline and being in control. I know that's hard and that's easy to say when you're in a situation where you're in control. I've had several times in my life where I felt like, wow, I could have easily went out of control, losing my son, whatever the situation was. But, I've had some good discipline, a good spiritual backing for myself. And I think that's helped me. So.
Absolutely. Well, good to be well grounded. Well,
yeah.
Rich, I really appreciate you being on the show today. I'm hoping that we can have you back on again soon. But before we go, there was a couple of questions that did come in. One was, do you think Carr's contract extension will be larger than Luck's last contract?
I like Andrew Luck. Obviously, he didn't look like the same guy last year.
No.
I think Derek Carr, it really could. He's a great leader of that team. Why not pay him? He's working. I don't see why not. I really think it could.
Potential there. Okay. The other question was, Andy asked, the government doesn't seem to mind horse tracks all over the country where people lose their whole checks in one afternoon. That's a good point, Andy. And we hadn't even touched on it, but yeah, that's another place where it's legal and happens all the time, all over the country. So, Rich, do you see any difference between that and sports gambling?
No, my grandfather was an avid horse racing guy, but $2-3 here and there. And I mean, I would take him to the track on usually every Friday he wanted to go. So I would take him to Santa Anita and we'd go out there and, you see a lot of people who have lost it all. They're just waiting for the next buck to bet on that next race. And Tony, it's a spiraling cycle that, look, if you're in a situation like that, you got to get out of that.
Right.
And you have to know when to hold them, when to fold them, as Kenny Rogers said. You just got to know, and I don't have the magic answer. I can't give everybody the magic answer they're looking for because everybody wants to do what they want to do. Some people will spend their money on a record collection or whatever. I mean, we're not just talking sports. You can outdo yourself on a lot of different levels with a lot of different things. So I think it's just a matter of self-discipline and knowing what you have to do as a person to go forward, because a lot of people get stuck and they can't get out of it. And it's a bad, bad situation that spirals out of control.
I agree, Rich. The moral of the story of tonight's show is obviously, like Rich said, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Just don't put yourself in that position. If you think you got a problem, get help. But, at the same time, you can have a lot of fun, and it's makes the games more enjoyable. I know it does for me, so just be careful. So, Rich, it's been great to have you on the show, like I said, and I look forward to having you back on. And, it's just amazing the life that you've lived, and I think you've done a great job not only with your career but family as well.
Thank you.
Sorry that you lost your son, but he served his country, and we salute him for that. And thank you again, Rich, for just sharing your life with us. All right.
Well, I truly appreciate it, and I'm honored to be on. And I want to thank everybody for watching.
All right, guys. This has been Long Shots TV. Take a shot with the long shots, guys, because we are the game.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Take care.